Have you heard of the proof that's like the sum of all the real integers from 1 to infinity? Mm-hmm. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5.
The positive integers.
The positive integers, sorry, yeah, the positive integers. And how you can actually write a proof that you get to an actual value and that it converges.
Well, it converges, and moreover, it converges to a negative number.
Negative fraction.
Negative 1/12.
Negative 1/12, yeah.
Yes.
It's mind-boggling. The proof is, there's a few assumptions that you
it's
make
on
during
infinity?
the proof, right? You would
depends,
think? Yeah.
It's sneakiness. There's little sneaky things in there.
Yeah.
That is an interesting idea. Are we actually on, right?
We're on, yeah.
Okay,
We've
cool.
been on for a while. Well, I mean, we'll just talk. I'll edit things out, and you know.
So that thing is interesting, I think, because first of all, that result actually is tied to some of the quantum results in our experiments that we measure, which is weird because the quantum world is very strange and we don't yet understand it all the way, right? But it shows you how, as a human, that we have this perception of our observed reality and we feel like we're at the top of the food chain and stuff like this. And we think we understand concepts, but the concept of infinity is kind of beyond the scope of a human brain, I would think, right? So, you add up all these positive numbers, the number is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as you add them up, hence the sum is getting bigger. It should blow up to infinity, I would think. But yet, you apply this weird little sneaky trick to some proof, and somehow it comes out negative. And moreover, that result is tied to really Riemann zeta hypothesis as well. So the Riemann zeta function, I don't know if you remember the function 1 over 1 minus x, the series.
I'm a little bit familiar with the Riemann zeta. There's a millennial problem about that, I think. Right?
Well, that's not the Riemann zeta.
Okay.
That is just a power series, a series x to the k. And k vary from the geometric series replaced as a variable function. Mm-hmm. Well, you think about, I don't know if you remember this either, but the geometric series in general, it converges for values of between 1 and negative 1, not including. And so if you add up 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 forever, should be infinity, right? Okay, so that makes sense. Now, the other end of the spectrum, the other end of the interval, negative 1, well, you're raising 1 to a power, then negative 1 to a power. All the powers are naturals, right? So negative 1 to the 0, plus negative 1 to the 1, plus negative 1 to the 2, right? And so on and so on. So what's going to happen?
It's alternating.
It's 1 plus negative 1 plus 1
here's
plus
the
negative 1, right? That's what you're going to do that forever. So you say, if I do that forever, well, my sum never converges per se, but it diverges in a very different way than, say, if I added up 1 forever.
Yeah, it's not just blowing up, right?
It's not blowing up.
It's alternating.
It's doing this thing.
Yeah.
So that's the place where if you say, look, let's just assume that it actually does converge. And if you plug it into the formula, 1 over 1 minus x, you get a value of a half. So that series equals 1/2 as convergent, which is kind of, as mathematically is concerned, it shouldn't converge. But experimentally, the results out there from what we've seen is it actually could be that, indeed, which is quite strange. And Riemann zeta hypothesis is a whole other interesting thing itself.
Yeah, I remember, and it's like, depending on how you group those ones, right? Depending on where you choose to, how you choose to group them, right? You could have 1 minus 1 grouped like that, and then a bunch of 1 minus 1s. That's 0 plus 0 plus 0.
You like rearrange.
There's also a rearrangement theory. I think Riemann also did that too, right?
Well, what's even more interesting is a lot of students kind of miss this fact when you take, say, Calc 3 here, is that when you talk about absolute convergence, when you talk about conditional convergence or divergence, so absolute convergence is the idea that if I take a series and I take the absolute value, the magnitude of every term, and then add those up, and that converges, then the series itself must also converge because that value can only be bigger than the original value. Well, let's say that you take the magnitude of all the terms, add them up, and it diverges. It still could mean the original series converges. And when that does happen, for instance, the alternating harmonic series converges, but the harmonic series, the magnitude of that diverges. We call that conditionally convergent. And you say, okay, it converges only under these circumstances. But the weird thing about it is it can be shown that every conditionally convergent series can be divergent or convergent whenever you want. You can do this whole rearranging of everything and make it converge or diverge whenever you feel like it. So what does that even mean, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, but every absolutely convergent series is conditionally convergent, correct? So
it converges.
It converges.
If it's absolutely convergent,
it just converges. Yeah.
Conditionally convergent means that the magnitude of this of the terms that series will diverge.
And
and the original
alternate
converges.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember there's a rearrangement theorem. I watched this channel on YouTube called Numberphile. You should definitely check it out if you're interested.
Students have
you heard of
said this before. I've heard
I feel
of
like you'd be really interested in it. Yeah, it's all these like quirky little proofs that just like blow your mind.
And some of them involve that negative 1/12 proof. I think I've
that's
seen
where
that
I first
before.
saw it.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's been a while, but I have seen that one. Which, is that allowed? Is that a thing that's allowed in the proofs?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
they're like proofs, but they're they're little like tricks, little sneakiness. There's some gray area there.
Well, it's interesting because what does it mean to prove something in general?
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
I mean, we're supposed to be using this system of logic that's consistent amongst our whole foundation of math that's based on axioms.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, you start somewhere. You say, here's axiom. First of all, what's axiom? Do you know axiom?
Axiom, we're in linear right now. We have a couple of axioms to prove things by. So axioms are, let's take a swing at this. So axioms are, an axiom is something that must be satisfied for something to be valid. Is that correct? So, for example, for linear transformations, we have two axioms that we have to satisfy.
What are they?
So they're good. Oh, okay. we're testing our knowledge here. So it's the first one is that t. So let's say we have a linear transformation t. So t of x plus y. So two members from your domain.
Okay.
Needs to be equal to t of x plus t of y.
Okay.
And then the other that's axiom 1. So the axiom 2 is for any k in the real numbers and for any x in your domain, t of k times x is equal to k times t of x. I think those are the two axioms that must be satisfied.
Sounds right from what I remember. I haven't touched that subject in a while, but it sounds about right. Now, do they call them axioms, or this is by definition of how we define a linear transformation?
So they call them axioms, but I don't know if that's just what the textbook calls them, but those are the two axioms that need to be satisfied. They call them axioms, yeah. Axiom 1, axiom 2.
It's kind of like a way of saying, look, we're just going to say this, and then everything else follows from this, assuming this is true.
If those two are satisfied.
So you assume it without proving that? Is that what an axiom is?
Right,
So I remember in geometry, I would always argue with my dad when I was first getting introduced into high school math. I'd be like, why is this true? And he's like, you just have to accept this in order for all the rest of this to
everything
be true.
builds off these little
assumptions.
assumptions.
Geometry specifically?
I don't remember exactly, but I remember that really bothered me.
I'll give you exactly something
that
I could think of. And that is, say you're in a nice space, Euclidean space, right, where nice things happen, and you have 2 points in space, and then you say, well, what's the shortest distance between these 2 points? And so the shortest distance is
straight
via an axiom.
Yeah.
It's from this point to that point as a line. Yeah. Now, why do we assume that's true? Good question, I think, and this is where it becomes very philosophical in my opinion, is that is based on observation. It is based on human perception. It is just based on what we intuitively think must be the case. And so assuming that, right, produces, that's one of a few axioms, but it produces all these results.
Yeah.
You basically
we
get
build off
everything from that,
yeah.
right? And so people make the distinction between hard science and soft science, and there's this hierarchy pyramid of sciences. Well, most would say, I think, physics on downward, it's all based on human perception, empirical science. What can I measure with my senses? Make a measurement. Where you say, well, math is more abstract. It's not necessarily based on empirical stuff, right? It's kind of, you could do it in your mind or whatever. But if you think about the axioms, they kind of are based on the same empirical assumptions that maybe some of these other physical sciences are based on, based on that itself. So
yeah,
it's so trippy.
It begs
so
the question,
if you break one of those fundamental axioms, then you break all of math after that.
then the structure is done. But the cool thing is about math is actually you can make all these different maths if you want. You can make a lot of times we call them algebras. When we take algebra, that's just one of infinitely many algebras. It's just the one where we assumed some of these axioms.
That's so cool.
So if we assume some other axioms, we could produce a whole nother algebra or system. And, you can do anything you really want. But the reason why we base that as our foundation to science is so that, based on what we perceive, it's consistent with what we see.
Exactly.
Is that where like mathematical philosophy comes in with those axioms?
Yeah, mathematical philosophy, I mean, that's part of it. There's a lot of philosophy that goes along with math. Okay. When I was studying at Chico as my undergrad, I really wanted to be a double major in philosophy and math. And it ended up that I needed like 1 or 2 more classes, but I would have had to wait another year because it was one of these classes that only offered once a year. So I said, screw it, I'll just get my bachelor's in math and move on. But I have a lot of philosophy background because I was always interested in it, right? And part of it comes down to what's called philosophy of metaphysics. So metaphysics is kind of the idea of what is possible to happen in our physical world based on our mind-independent kind of idea, unless you want to call the mind completely the same thing as your physical surroundings. So it's very interesting. Philosophy of mathematics is kind of this idea. What is going on in the math? Is it independent of us? Like a mathematical object, like you guys are in linear algebra, probably talked a lot about matrices.
Oh, definitely.
So you have these weird abstract matrices, right? You have columns and rows of vectors.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're just coefficients, whatever it is. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
It seems very arbitrary. Yeah, in linear algebra, we've noted there's so many different parallels between the way you can perceive the same thing. So matrices is like a column.
I wish they took that view more, though. Well, they're just like, they look at a matrix from that like big view and like what is this in the grand scheme of? Because I feel like
it seems like the first class where we're making all these different connections across different type ways of looking at the same problem.
Invertible matrix theorem. Have you talked about that one yet?
We did.
We did. Yeah, we did.
20
it's like 20
parts.
different.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If and only ifs.
Oh my god. That
theorem.
we had like flashcards for that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
That's the thing. It connects so many different ways of
looking
looking
at the same thing.
Vector equations, matrix equations, linear system.
Yeah.
It's
super interesting, but I guess what I'm asking is, does the matrix, any matrix, n by n matrix, does that thing as an object exist in the same way that, say, the table exists?
Yeah. That's
right?
so
I mean, it's all kind of based
on
the
all
same assumptions.
Perceptions,
I'm feeling it, which can be kind of trippy, like you said.
That is really
cool,
trippy.
though.
That is so trippy.
But it makes you think about what this universe is actually like. We're very sheltered, I think, in our perception about it as a human. So, I don't know if you guys saw today. There was an article. I think I read it on NBC News, but I'm sure you could probably find it anywhere on the internet. That maybe I don't know if you pay attention to any of the new the AI stuff that's been going on, the artificial intelligence. So a few weeks ago, they had that Go competition. I don't know if you saw it, where they basically taught a computer to learn
Google
to play Go.
DeepMind's, right? AlphaGo.
Yeah. So, which interesting because there's too many moves in Go to program into a computer. So that's, you'd have to have like some giant supercomputer.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just look up all the different possibilities and go down those routes.
And theoretically, you can, right?
Is it more complex than like chess?
It's more complex.
Way
than chess.
more.
Really?
And even chess, you can't
So
it'll be
with
so
chess,
slow.
Are they starting to implement those AI type things?
Learn how to. They learn strategies.
Yeah, instead of memorizing.
They actually learn exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's fascinating.
I've done some stuff with that. I've made a brute force like tic-tac-toe. It's there's an algorithm called Minimax where you literally traverse the game tree at each state, And if you win, you assign a score to that. If they win, you assign a score to that. If you tie, you assign a score to that. And you pass that up the game tree, and you assess which move you make based on that.
Game theory.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Is that what that is?
It's I haven't done much with game theory, but
is that
we did a little bit in econ. Yeah.
Game theory is very interesting. It's like that's the idea. Is you basically produce a matrix of all the probabilities of all the different events that can happen, and based on any move, any time in the game, you should be able to make the prediction of what your best move would be.
Yeah.
But there's too many in chess.
So much computation
to
get to that. Yeah.
What is Go?
Go is actually a pretty simple game. It's an ancient Chinese game. I think it's you have to surround the opponent. It's all about I think like military generals played it back in ancient China.
It's a board. It kind of looks like a giant chessboard, if you will. And there's all these little white and black kind of circular looking rock things. And you just move those around with different.
I played that. You
have to surround.
It's like and then
you surround them on four sides, the opponent's pieces.
Oh, I think I've played something
like
that. That sounds familiar. Okay.
Yeah. So that AI learned to play this game. It just learned it, and it learned strategy. And then when it played the quote unquote the best Go player in the world, he beat it. The computer game. Yeah. So the reason I bring this up because machine learning is really something that is going to change the world, and I think quicker than most people realize. Yeah. The article that I was gonna tell you guys about is I don't know if you've heard about it, but this woman, I can't remember. She works for some company. It's like a Fortune 500 company that she programmed the machine, whatever it was, probably a computer, to get paint from different, like say Sherman-Williams or something. It first had to learn what colors were. So it learned what colors were. Oh, this is green. This is red. Yeah. It learned that. Then once it learned it, it created its own colors from the color schemes.
Wow.
So basically, it could
creativity
tell,
almost.
Well, yeah, and
that's interesting. Programming creativity.
And you don't even have to. It's just a weird algorithm that. So what's it doing?
Its own thing.
And it names some funny colors because it doesn't know like bad or good words. It knows what green and pink and all that is, but it don't know this. Those are picking weird words. Somehow it had some idea what the word was, but what was it like stanky blue or something? Weird words like that. Where people are like, I don't want that color in my house.
Oh, and it was like those were based off the actual color and whatever it learned from its surroundings.
Yeah,
so
it's
corresponding.
It's really interesting, and then it's kind of scary, right? Because it's gonna happen. That's a big
sentient
research
AI.
Right now. Yeah. AI, machine learning. It could help us in many ways as a society.
Yeah.
But it could also be not so good, probably, like, what if, they're going to be, computers are essentially made out of silicon, right? And humans are made out of mostly carbon-based versus silicon-based. Maybe you go to some other weird remote part of the universe that is inaccessible to us, and the dominant life form is silicon. And perhaps that's not so crazy. But the bad thing about silicon-based is they don't really need oxygen.
Yeah, that's heard that.
Actually, oxygen is bad for them,
right? Yeah, so they might
oxidizes.
Yeah.
So you think about maybe one of these AIs where you're like, we don't really need the oxygen anymore.
To a new life form.
Yeah.
We're disposable in the future. Maybe.
That'd be that's a scary thought for sure.
It is. So that's who are all these guys are making all the AI stuff. They really gotta be careful.
Be on top of the game.
Elon Musk actually has a company, OpenAI. I think they're dedicated to like the ethics around AI. Like they're tackling some of those questions like that, those big questions like, what happens when they supersede us?
There's a committee out there doing this.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but you know what? If we could make it so we didn't have to work as much.
Yeah.
I know being busy is good, but hey, if I have more time to go on vacation and stuff like this and not have to work, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Especially
jobs, get back in that audio engineering.
Especially monotonous jobs and stuff where people aren't able to express their creativity or their passion. I'm sure AI could displace a lot of them. They have free time now.
Just dangerous jobs too, I think.
Or
I could go into.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Well, even like a job like mine, I think is dispensable at some point. Teaching, you can kind of see how some of these classes are going more online now.
Yeah, Khan Academy's doing that.
Yeah. Well, even
Coursera,
classes here.
Oh yeah, that is true. That are just straight up online.
Right, straight up online. Now, you say, well, have you guys ever taken an online class here?
I have, yeah. I'm taking one right now, actually.
Yeah, I mean, is it different than face-to-face?
I don't like it as much. Yeah,
I like the interaction, but I mean, reading through the modules, I think
I don't
you can learn.
Yeah, you could probably learn so. I think it differs like between student to student, but yeah, I like the interaction between the professor and the student, and the students to students. I think you can get more out of that too, because you're hearing like other inputs, not just your own interpretation of what you're reading.
Right.
Which definitely helps. It depends on the subject.
I wish they had like that flipped classroom model where you read it at home and then you come to class and you're just able to discuss questions and stuff. Yeah, because I feel like that'd be the best of both worlds.
Flipped classroom in the online setting?
Yeah, so like I think in my APES class in high school, what we did was it was basically an online class and that you read all the lectures at home and whatnot. So you had a pretty good idea. And in class time was just spent on kind of discussing questions you had about the lectures. And the teacher wasn't really talking to you. Rather, it was like a conversational atmosphere. And that was really cool.
Yeah.
That's the way I like to teach.
Yeah, I love that.
Conversation. Now, I've attempted to flip some lessons before.
Yeah.
They didn't work out as anticipated.
Did you want to read them or something?
It's hard to
I think it's really hard. I think the idea is great because if everyone actually did what they're supposed to do,
then you would come to class.
Everyone comes to class, but what happens is
accountability
Joe had to work late and Sally forgot or whatever the happening, and then you get people all coming to class on different levels of what they've done, and then it's like, oh, here, try these problems. So, I mean, you could kind of group them together. Say, this is the group that didn't do anything. This is the group that kind of did some stuff. But I don't know.
Definitely some challenges for sure.
Yeah.
It is a challenge, but, it's good to explore different...
Yeah, just the modes of learning.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting area, too, especially the online learning. How do people best learn? I love those conversations. We had an English class last quarter where it was really like debate based and like I was so engaged. Or, like,
I miss that a lot.
Yeah, but like classes where like teachers are kind of just like it's a one-way flow of information. I feel even if the material is interesting, the teacher's doing a great job. It's hard to pay attention for that full hour, 50 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the average attention span of
people
prior to all this tech stuff was not that long. Like several minutes, maybe 8 minutes, maybe. Now it's probably way down.
That was before social media and like smartphones. 8 minutes.
They say it's lower than a goldfish now. That's what they're saying. I don't know if it's like a fun...
Yeah, it's probably like one of those, but still, I've heard it's bad.
Yeah, well, it's hard because you're basically training your brain to constantly be engaged with something that's interesting, right?
Yeah.
And so even if something is interesting in the classroom, it's hard to stay focused, first of all, as a human. You need to take a break, but when the phone's sitting right there,
it's so hard.
And they just gotta tap that one button right there.
Instant, instant media feedback.
Yeah, instant gratification.
That too. We're always like multitasking or like context switching from like our devices to like class and stuff. I feel like there's so much clutter in our brains now.
Yeah, and it's hard to get that one thing that you're focusing in on. Now we're in the TLC here, but I was over in the library prior to this, just snooping around because I think you switched rooms. I was snooping around because the library is real nice now. It's all redone, and I was actually thinking of this like, there's a lot of people in here studying. I thought, how many people in here studying are actually reading an actual book from the library? Was what went through my head.
Very low percentage, right?
10%.
Right.
Less than one,
which is because all the information you need is at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the best well-cited or, I can use this as a source.
Yeah.
But it's when I was a kid,
to go to the library
you'd go to the library and you'd check out some books and you'd read the books. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It's far more efficient now. I'll say that, but it's also a lot more susceptible, I think, to if you're gonna take your online material, how confident can you feel about that, right? A perfect example, I think, is Wikipedia, which is great. I love Wikipedia. I look at it a lot, but it's very user controlled.
Yeah, crowdsourced.
Yeah, so you could we could go on there and mess with it right now if we wanted to. Right?
Yeah.
So we could.
Yeah, middle school.
Really?
Change something on that. I mean, they would edit it. You know,
They
they
would
have
find it.
moderators. They'd find it
Right,
eventually. Yeah.
They'll find it, so that's good. They take care of it, but still, you know, you never really know, and that's with any book, really. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
So that's why I like math so much. That's why I like math as a subject of interest, is because, you know, I don't care if this historical thing supposedly did or did not happen. Maybe some conversation someone had with someone in 1638 and they were writing with the pen that was made from a feather and blah, 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 right? Something happened there. It's probably, right? What happened? I don't know. You know, we try to say historians and we figure it out, but it's different than saying, look, I have the math right here. And I am using it to find an answer to some situation. I don't have to go back and 100, 200 years prior to kind of get an idea. It's nice to know some history about how the math came to be, but the math is the math.
Yeah.
And, you know, some argue that the math is independent of us. Some argue that it's dependent on us. I don't know the answer to that one.
Wow.
Right? I mean, would the math exist without the humans?
Yeah.
Is the question.
When did you know that you wanted to do math?
You know, it's interesting. When I was in high school, so first of all, I went to one high school and then I was expelled from one high school.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for various reasons, I won't necessarily say on
the
camera right now, but you know, I went to another high school and I ended up graduating from there. And when I was at the first high school that I went to, you know, I liked math. I mean, I was young, 16 years old or whatever. And I had high marks in math, yes, but I also was a pretty good student in high school before I was dismissed. And once I went to the other school, I was kind of like, I didn't care at all about my academics anymore. Okay. Somehow I got into college, 4-year. I went Chico. Yep.
That's school pride.
Lots of stories at that school.
Oh, I bet. We can go into those after.
Oh, yeah. But so when I went there, you know, a lot of times I was just turned 18 because I got a summer birthday. And I didn't, you know, you're young, you don't know what you want to do. I feel bad a lot of times these students have to declare that when they go somewhere, it's like, you might change your mind, who knows. And so what did I do? I just started taking classes that sounded interesting. And you know, at the time I hadn't taken math for probably over a year, because when I was a senior at that last high school, I didn't really have to take many classes. 2 classes a semester I think I took. And so, you know, I started exploring. I knew I liked philosophy, but I knew kind of at the same time that would not be the best choice of just a single degree.
Yeah.
So I first got into psychology. I thought that's kind of similar idea, weird perception stuff, that kind of stuff. But, you know, it was really hard to get a class at the time in psychology that worked on my schedule. So I took one class, and then once I wanted to take these more specialized classes like cognition and other interesting ideas, I couldn't really get the class I needed. So I said, man, this is kind of, it's going to take me forever to get out of here. So I said, well, you know what, let's do engineering, because science seems cool, and, you know, engineering is a nice job to have. So I got into engineering. Now, what happened? First semester I declared as engineer. I think it was my second semester there, freshman year. They made me take, what did they make me take? They made me take Calc 1. So I hadn't take Calc 1. It might have been my sophomore year. I can't remember for sure. So I thought, oh, wow. I'd never taken calculus before that, ever. And I also hadn't done math in a while. And though I found it very interesting, I did not do so well in that class because, let's face it, I did not put in the effort that was needed in that class. Now, in the meantime, I'm taking that class. Oh, this is interesting. I'm not doing that great, but I'd like to come to class and listen to these weird ideas of math. At the same time, I was taking kind of some random engineering classes, like AutoCAD. Back then, there were zip disks. I remember.
Oh gosh!
I don't know how many megabytes that was.
Floppy disk? Is that what it's called?
No, it was kind of after the floppy. Okay. It was floppy, and then there was like kind of those skinny hard disks, and then the zip disk was kind of more bulky and hard.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, you look it up later. It's I want to guess it could store like 100 megs.
Oh my gosh,
is my guess.
Nothing.
And at the time, it was like, oh,
yeah.
zip disk, right? But anyways, I remember being in that class and not enjoying it because, we were designing things with the AutoCAD, like it's just something you'd construct and send to a company to make, which is definitely a great skill to have and involves trigonometry and other complex ideas. But it wasn't interesting to me. The math was interesting. And so what ended up happening is I failed the calc class, and for good reason. I didn't try very hard. And then after that, I actually decided to change my major to math.
Whoa.
And so,
not interesting really, turn of events.
Yeah, not really knowing what it really was going to entail job-wise. I kind of didn't care anymore about that point because I was so interested in what I was learning in that class.
Yeah.
Because I was taking chemistry, I remember too. I was in like Chem 2 or something. And that was fun, but it was still not, to me at least, interesting as the math because the math was so independent of observation. And so I just ended up going for it. And then, geez Louise, after you take math class after math class, it's hard to explain to people who don't have the math classes. Right? You come here, you take the calc series, you take the linear algebra, you take the Diffie-Qs, right? Maybe discrete. Those are all great classes, but it's still nothing compared to the crazy math that you learn. And it just gets more bizarre.
Yeah.
And so,
what was the craziest math class or concept that you learned?
One of the craziest, there was a bunch of them, but I think probably it was a topology class. This topology class.
You talked about this in one day a little bit.
It was a knot theory class, so KNOT. So you think literally, what type of shoelace is knot, right? Take a whole class on that.
Whoa.
Now you say, what the hell do you learn in that class, right? Well, it's very interesting. I mean, you basically map different unique knots, and you prove that this knot is not the same as this knot through whatever manipulation that you do to it.
Oh gosh! So
you start producing this whole distinct set of knots, like the unknot. That's kind of like the zero number, right? It's a knot that cannot be has no loops, it has nothing. It's like a circle, basically. Yeah. Or maybe it's just a line. I can't remember. It's
something very
cut it. It's just a simple knot, or maybe there's this other knot you can't untie it, but it has two knots in it, or the one with one knot, right? So basically, no matter how you unravel these knots, you'll still have a minimum number of knots in it.
Yeah.
No matter what. And so you start going through all the mathematics of this, which is
that's great.
It's almost all abstract compared to what you see in these other.
It's a whole other system almost. Right?
Well, I mean, someone might say, "Why the hell would you ever want to study that? What is that good for?" It was always good for something. Eventually, you start producing polynomials out of these knots. There's a whole set of polynomials which represent the knots, and you can form islands with the knots and all this crazy stuff. And there are applications, for instance, umbilical cords. You can apply it to this. I remember reading at the time, coincidentally when I was in that class, I actually announced this article in class because I thought it was so interesting, was someone had got, you ever go in your garage and you're like, the lights, Christmas lights or whatever, just some wire has been sitting there for a year, and you go and you get it. No one's touched it.
Yeah.
And when you pick it up, it's all knots.
Oh yeah, headphones all the time too.
Magic.
Yeah, my headphones.
Magic knots from nowhere.
Magic knots.
You need to sit the
little
cord
knot
in the room
for
a year. You come back, there's gonna be knots. Why?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
I've always wondered that, honestly. Yeah.
Right. When they got this,
I probably just tangled it up and put it in
Well, when it's in a bag, right? That's different. But when it's just sitting in a box doing nothing, it's kind of weird. So there was this experiment back then. I'm sure if you dug deep enough on the internet, you could find it, where someone was thinking of this idea.
Oh, gosh.
And so they got a shoestring or something, and they just got it and they put it in a box. And then they got the box, and they put it on a device that just shook it for various time periods. And every so often they would open the box and be like, how many knots we got?
Yeah.
And so they started producing a pattern about as time dependent, how many knots you will randomly produce.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Nature is so weird like that.
That is really weird.
That's why math is just so sometimes mind blowing.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like, we live here and then we get to study it too. And what I think is one of the most interesting things right now is the dark matter.
Yeah.
The
we don't know much
about that.
We don't know barely anything about it. Yeah. So according to what I read on some NASA webpage the other day, all of what we know about our observable reality, including classical physics, general relativity, quantum physics, all that stuff, that makes up 5% of the universe.
Wow.
5%. So what's the other 95%?
Yeah.
Is it dark matter? Is that what it's
some of it's dark matter, and the other is dark energy, I believe.
So
most of it is dark matter.
So those are just things we created to explain the things that we can't explain already.
Well, what we can observe. So from what I understand, all this other stuff, they should be other elements that are fundamental to nature, but do not interact with photons. So photon is an elementary unit of light.
Yeah.
And so the other stuff doesn't care about the light. Like somehow the light doesn't affect it, or maybe it does, and who knows, right? So there's this whole other frontier out there.
So exciting, though.
Yeah. So you could speculate anything about that. You can even, I bet, I would imagine that some people could even take a philosophical approach to like our own existence. Like maybe that's where this like secret dimension is, or something like that. Who knows? I mean, until you find what that is.
That is wild.
Was problem solving something that like underlies your interest in math? Have you always been just like interested in solving problems and like the endorphins that come with that or something?
Oh, yeah. Is it true? Endorphins come with
the
problem solving?
We had a physics
teacher,
Mr. Dunbar, who'd always be like the feel-good juice.
I think so.
Every time you solve
it's a little reward every time.
I would agree, just from a opinion based. I mean, I could imagine it's true, just like when you play some sports. So it's weird. When I was a young kid, I used to love doing puzzles, like jigsaw puzzles. Like I remember being, I don't know, maybe 6 years old and doing like a 3,000-piece puzzle, stuff like that. I always loved finding the answer to the puzzles. Yeah, jigsaw puzzle a little different than some of this math stuff, but it's similar, And so I liked that. I liked figuring out the answer to something that I knew there had to be an answer to, but it was this complex situation. Still to this day, that's partly why I do math. But I think also the other part is that the math seems to be the underlying structure for almost everything that we do, and so it just seemed fitting. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like, did I choose the math as a subject, or is it just kind of like, is choice even part of what I can control? I don't know. Maybe it's just all cause and effect from the beginning. But I think that problem solving part is fun. And some people, especially in my field as an educator right now, that one of the biggest challenges is to try to convince students that, you might not like math, but you can make it something fun. And it's frustrating for so many students because it takes effort. It takes time.
Definitely.
Hard work.
Right. I mean, a big part of math is struggle. And that's normal. And they think, oh, look at the professors. They're so smart. They're just so good at math. No, we worked very hard.
Years.
Yeah, years and years and years and years. And so it is a big challenge saying, we got 12 weeks, technically 11 weeks, to teach you this whole subject. And for you to grasp whatever extent I want you to grasp and show me you understand it, that's a big challenge. And I don't expect students to grasp everything. It takes years. Yeah,
it seems like especially the quarter system, we go so fast and we're jamming a lot of material in.
Yeah, and I think I've gone to quarter and semester schools. I've taught at both, and I've been a student at both. And I think there's plus and minuses to both.
Yeah,
One plus
absolutely.
of the quarter is you can get done quicker.
Yeah.
But also, I actually felt, like, at least as a student perspective, that I retained more information in the quarter system.
Mm-hmm.
Because from beginning to end, you have actually 1 month less than a semester.
Mm-hmm.
So you say,
Really?
at the end of a semester, do you remember the stuff we talked about week one?
Really?
Yeah.
Less likely
Sure.
than you are in a quarter system,
Yeah.
I would think, right? So
Yeah, it definitely seemed. This was my first quarter school experience, and it definitely seems way faster pace
yeah.
than, like, I remember thinking, like, winter quarter first week, like, okay, I'm just gonna keep grinding until I get that break, and that break never came
Yeah.
until spring break.
Yeah.
And then by the time spring break hit, I had like no idea what had just happened. Like I just
Yeah, and then right
studying
back
the whole
at
time,
it.
and then right back at it. Yeah, and I do kind of like that. You do get to take more classes, meet more professors, meet more students.
Was that your first quarter?
No, fall quarter is my first quarter.
Okay.
But fall quarter, I was like still like figuring things out. I was still like ironing out the quarter system.
What do I
Winter
wanna
quarter
do?
seems so fast. Oh my god, I think it's shorter too, right?
What?
I think winter quarter is like a week shorter than fall.
No,
quarter.
they're all
Is it
12
not?
weeks.
Oh,
it's just
someone told me that.
fall has like the Thanksgiving break,
Yeah.
you know.
It seemed
and
dragged out a
has,
bit more.
What are the holidays in there? Some other holiday. Oh, Veterans Days.
Yeah, there's a couple 3-day weekends, I think.
Yeah. And then you have a longer break in between the fall quarter and the winter quarter than winter and spring. And then if you've taken summer class, there ain't no break.
Oh yeah.
You know? So like I teach summers and that is just man, it is rough because you teach all these classes. I teach 4 classes usually. And the day the final's done, you better grade those finals quick because 3 days later we're starting summer.
Yeah.
So summer
turnover
courses
is
go.
quick.
I haven't.
It's
I
1
don't
week
know.
after, right?
Really?
It's
Yeah,
literally
summer-
the
oh.
Monday after the
Yeah.
last
So
final.
summer quarter is
Oh,
still
really?
a
So
full
it's just
quarter.
weekend?
No, it's the
Not even a
weekend.
week, really. It's just
A
a
weekend.
weekend.
Wow.
Wow, that's rough.
So yeah, so they really
doing-
are
yeah.
all true quarters, even summer. That's like a true quarter.
It's a true
It's a lot
quarter,
shorter
but,
though,
but,
right?
but summer is 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
And
6 weeks.
more
Okay.
condensed.
But it's rough too
Yeah,
because
summer's
it's
rough.
4 days a week.
Yeah.
At least in our department, 4 days a week
That's-
for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a summer camp or something.
Yeah, it is. I
like a boot
teach
camp,
a
yeah.
calculus class in the summer.
a
Man,
lot
I
of
can
work.
imagine how rough the students had because it is rough on me.
Yeah, grading
Yeah,
those
they're going
papers.
home.
You grade fast too. I remember one week
Yeah.
you would churn them out in like a day or two.
Well, my philosophy on that is I'd rather get it done
Yeah,
That's good.
and move on to the next
don't
thing
wanna
than
hit
have
it.
it pile up.
Yeah.
I've been in those offices before. They're like, man, I really don't want to grade this stuff. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, well, you got to grade. There's a stack
Yeah,
like this
it
big.
just gets worse
Yeah.
and worse.
Yeah, you just procrastinate just
Yeah.
like the students do.
I have
Yeah.
a quick question about
Yeah.
this is something that I wonder about a lot is like, do you think there are math people and non-math people?
You know, like innately, you're saying?
Yeah, like
you're
I've read
born
some
that
research
way?
on like IQ and stuff, and like it says like, because when I first came into math, I was like, okay, as long as you work at it and stuff, you're gonna get the concepts, and it's just people who aren't doing good in math. It's just because they're not putting in the hours. But now maybe that's not the truth. I don't know. What are your like thoughts on that? I guess?
I think there's some truth to it, but I think most of it is a mythical kind of thing to say. Is it an excuse for people to say, I'm not good at math. I'm not good at math, and therefore I'm just not a math person. But in the meantime, you're met with a struggle in a situation, and you don't want to confront that struggle, say in a particular concept or problem, right? And so it seems like an excuse to say, well, I'm just never going to get it because I don't want to put in the effort and time to get it. And it takes effort and time, right? I mean, it's not like I can just read these 5 vocabulary words and memorize them and now I'm done.
So much different.
It doesn't work that way.
Than any other class.
And so I think that certain people, yes, everyone has a different structure physically, both genetically, which is a direct result from with your brain, right? Your brain is based on genetics to some extent. There's a whole nother issue.
Yeah.
As part of that
Nature
is
versus nurture.
environmental.
Yeah.
Who really
It's
knows
such
on
a
that?
big debate.
Yeah, but I do think that at least a portion of that has to do with genetics. And so, yes, to some extent, yes. Maybe this part of my brain is bigger than the other part. And whether the plasticity of brain is really a thing, that's true, I don't know. But I think anyone can do math.
Can do it, yeah.
If they put in the effort. It might take me less effort and you more effort or vice versa on certain topics, but as long as you eventually put in the effort, it will happen.
Yeah.
Like part of my hobby that I like to do outside as like an amateur is to I really, really am very interested in the whole quantum field theory. It's just so interesting to me. And so I've read many books on it, many books. And so after reading 15 books, do I get it? More than I did if I didn't read the book. Yeah. But I still don't get it. It's super, super complex. Yeah. That's to me why it's so fun, is because it's just I'm always learning more.
Yeah.
So I ordered this book the other day. I said, okay, maybe I'm at the point now where I could finally kind of do some of the math, right? So I get this book. I'm like, all great reviews for people who have math background and stuff like this. So I get the book on Amazon, and I'm like, it's here. I'm going to open it up. It's like 800 pages or something, right? First page. All right, I'll do that one later.
Too much.
First page. I really got to sit down for like a couple hours. You get through a few pages. Yeah. That stuff is complex. But, if I was the math person, right? Yeah. Oh, I would just magically understand it. But it takes lots of effort. And you talk about scientists or whoever. I don't care if you're an artist or, a performer or a guitar player or a jogger or whatever, an athlete. I think in many ways they all have similarities in the sense that if you're good at something, you've spent a lot of time practicing it and either programming your body to do something athletically. Again, certain people have genetics that look at LeBron James. The guy's a beast, right? The guy's 6'9", 260 or whatever. But, he was born with those genetics, but if he never tried,
he wouldn't have been anywhere.
Right. I mean, you have to still put in the effort. And so math is one of those historically, stereotypically, I should say, subjects that, you're either good at it or you're not. Yeah. But it's the same as all other subjects and all other parts of life. Yeah. I think it does involve creativity to some extent, too. If I recall correctly, do you guys know psychology stuff at all?
I'm really into that. I'm definitely not an expert by any means, but I love reading it.
Maybe you could help me out there, because if I recall correctly, the same part of your brain that supposedly governs the math processing part also governs the artistic part. Is this true?
I remember listening to a podcast once again, and they were talking about the relationships between creativity and math and STEM fields, and how there's actually a lot of intersection between them. I don't remember. Definitely not.
I wouldn't. Yeah. But you wouldn't think that right off the bat.
It's like a stereotype where scientists aren't.
It's like very. It seems formulaic. Like you're just plugging and chugging in formulas.
And it can be if you do it the wrong way, right? If you just
if you're not learning.
If you're not learning it exactly.
Yeah, because a lot of the I think science is creative, and in many ways, when these people come up with new theorems, or they prove something that's never been proven, or they have a vision about something being true about reality, that that's all creative thought, and then you apply the mathematics to it. I think artistic ability is very similar to mathematical ability. And ironically, you can get an art degree in math.
How does that work? What is that?
It's like I have an MS in math.
Okay.
So it's science. So you get a Master's of Arts in math.
Interesting.
It's different kind of branches of specialty in math. Where the Master's of Arts is more proof, and they call it the pure math.
Is it more abstract as well?
I mean, you kind of, no matter what, you're going to do
you do
proofs,
abstract. Okay.
No matter what, if you're a math major. But that's kind of like your sole focus is... Is
that like more discrete math type thing? Does that fall under that?
Number theory.
Okay.
A lot of number theory. Like all these weird relationships with numbers. I like to call it the way that numbers behave when no one's looking. Right? So they're like in their little community, and they have all these relationships with each other. Super abstract stuff, right? Like, powers of 2 equal to...
Numberphile has a bunch of videos on that. And whenever I watch them, I always wonder, like, how do people think to even look where they're looking, like make these weird connections between
That is
things.
a weird, yeah.
I don't know.
That's creativity, right?
like
Just the thought that sparks that, I guess.
Yeah, well, you're probably studying something, and then you think of an idea, and you go, I wonder if this is true. Well, you either go find out if it's true or not. Maybe someone already knows, or you venture off and figure it out on your own. I mean,
So
one of the greatest unsolved, proven parts of math is that Riemann hypothesis, and that takes some crazy creativity. You know, I mean, I can imagine sitting there every day like these guys back in the day that, well, all I do is math all day.
Yeah, wow.
All day. I mean, for part of my life, that's what I did.
Yeah.
I was still learning the math. Now my focus is on educating the math. And of course, I have family and kids now, so I even have less time to kind of do independent work.
Yeah.
But I can imagine if I had every day of my life, and all I had to do, someone gave me money and just said, look, just study math all day, every day. I bet I would come up with some cool stuff. I would think, right? Either of us, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how much time you have in your day.
Absolutely. 8 hours, yeah, man.
Yeah, Riemann went ham. He's got a lot of theorems and hypotheses.
Yeah, there's some of the famous mathematicians out there that just kind of had a larger impact.
Yeah.
And did they have a gift? Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, I've read before that when Einstein learned about his discovered relativity or thought of that, whatever that initial kind of idea or concept, he would have like visions and stuff.
That's
He'd
so
sit in
cool.
his study and kind of
Wow.
go into trance land.
Wow.
And
Didn't
feel
he
the
do like
sounds.
psychedelics, or is that like
I've heard that
urban
too. Maybe
legend?
that's how it's
A
kind
lot of
of
those
hinting at.
influential thinkers have dabbled
There's a lot of
with some-
psychedelics involved
Yeah.
in
Well, it
crazy
shows you.
ideas. Yeah.
Look at Freud.
Like opens up
Freud is
reality.
it? I've just started reading him and Jung, and man, these are
Carl
some
Jung,
interesting people.
Well,
The way they thought.
It makes you think.
Yeah.
Some of these are like Van Gogh, right? You know, this story with him cutting off his ear.
Yeah.
Was that on some sort of drug? Or
Yeah,
something?
no,
on
wasn't he
absinthe.
eating?
Oh, he's
Oh, that was absent. Wasn't he
Mhm.
also like licking his fingers with paint on them, and he had like lead poisoning or something?
That could be true too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why are you going a little
First.
crazy? But absinthe, yeah, that's
I heard it was the absinthe
supposed to
from what I
induce
heard.
hallucinations.
Which is from a root, I think.
Some alcoholic thing, right?
It's
Very
a
potent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a LSD supposedly kind of trip.
Okay.
Now you could, for painters and stuff, I could totally.
Oh
see
yeah, yeah.
But you know, it would be kind of ironic if you looked at all the different geniuses,
Yeah.
and then somehow at one point or another, you narrowed it down to some situation where that was happening.
Yeah.
That would be kind of an interesting.
That would be an
That's
interesting time.
Yeah, I think it.
You know, when I was at Chico as an undergrad, you know, you had to take GE classes. One of the classes was speech class. I don't know if you guys have taken that class.
Yeah,
Like
public
communication
speaking
type things.
Yeah, it was like a solo speech kind of class.
Yeah.
Learning how to speak in public.
Yeah,
that kind of
we're
thing.
both into
Yeah.
those types of things.
Oh, you like those?
Yeah, we're in
like
a Toastmasters club.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Oh, which one?
Toastmasters club. It's like you have like little troops where you just like practice public speaking.
Oh.
We joined one like in
Curriculum
Palo
and
Alto.
everything. It's
That's
nice.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
get
cool.
comfortable with it.
You just
right?
get comfortable
It's like
with
stress
it. It's like
inoculation, just going up and feeling it.
Yeah.
And just getting
Yeah,
better through that.
yeah.
kind of
just
thing.
practicing and
Yeah,
you
the
get some good
anxiety
critique.
speaking in
Yeah.
front of
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
it's a real thing.
Oh,
Like,
I had a big issue with that. That's why I joined this, and I've like completely turned around. I would like purposely not take classes because I.
I'm sure
hated
teaching
speaking
helps,
in front of
right?
people.
Just being
Oh, I
in front of
bet, yeah.
people every day.
I think it does.
Yeah, just practicing.
But you know, it's funny you say it because when I'm in front of a classroom, when I was younger, when I was first teaching, I would get a little nervous, like, especially on the
Oh,
first
yeah.
or second
Yeah.
day. Like, oh, my
That's
God,
understandable,
I don't know
yeah.
who these
Yeah.
people are. Well, I
Yeah.
gotta talk. It ain't nothing now. I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like it. Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But that isn't to say that if I'm in front of a different type of
Yeah.
crowd, that I'm not going to be nervous, right? Like if I'm going to have to speak in front of, say, a bunch of people I don't know, I will be nervous
It's
then.
a different,
Even if I'm not conscious of it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
It kind of
builds
manifests
up.
itself.
Yeah.
You can't really control it in a way.
Yeah.
It's a physical
So-
reaction.
So I think it's a really good way to kind of overcome that feeling,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Understand how to control your own anxiety and stress level and stuff. But I guess the reason I brought this up because we were talking about these weird geniuses that thought of all these ideas. I had done a study on the effects of LSD in society over the past how many years. And the interesting thing is, before it was made illegal, which came from the hippie times.
Oh, right? Yeah, like Woodstock.
Yeah, I mean, that's when it was prevalent for the most part. It was abused as a recreational drug during that time. But it was still legal. And so it was, I can't remember the exact year, but it was made officially illegal, right, to use it as a drug. And prior to that, they had scientists that were using that as a medium to actually help people with mental disorders. So they would get it, give, say, a schizophrenic the LSD, and then guide them through a long 10, 15-hour trip of talking about what's going on, realization, all this stuff. Yeah. And it supposedly it worked really well. Wow. And so then all the recreational use kind of pushed out the scientific part of it. And now it's starting to be rediscovered. I've read articles in the past few months about new ways of using psychedelic mushrooms. And I don't know necessarily with the LSD stuff, but they have been trying to tackle drug abuse with these methods and do similar methods, and it has proven successful. It just shows you that something like that, which is so, let's face it, it's cheap to make. You know, you'd grow mushroom on a poop in the yard.
Fungus.
Or like that LSD stuff. You know? Whereas it's not as profitable, let's say, as taking pills for 10 years.
Yeah.
There's some fishy stuff going on for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely some conspiracy theory.
I think it's kind of making a comeback though, right?
Like
I think
psychedelics.
I think people, especially I don't know, people our age are curious. Curious. I mean,
there's like this whole thing with like microdosing. Now.
Yeah,
I think like some people, like startups, do that too. They do like
that?
So you microdose on LSD like each day, so not enough so that you're like tripping.
Increase like
but
productivity.
It's supposed to increase productivity, like creativity, things like that.
Well,
it's a very
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, there's so many fads like that, like health diet
fads.
I
want to hear a really interesting story about that. When another at Chico, there's a lot of interesting things I learned there academically. Okay, other things.
Emphasis on.
I was taking a class called Rock and Roll History, and the guy who was teaching the class actually was the author of the book. So he had all these great stories of rock and roll, and some of them he was there and all this stuff, right? Well, you know who the Beatles are. Okay. Now, do you know their music? How it has evolved through when they were first came out. And then they went through to Sgt. Pepper and all this stuff.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not.
No. Okay, so they basically, when the Beatles came out, they started lovey-dovey songs. La la la, love you, that kind of stuff.
I know one of their songs that's a little bit trippy.
Well, they have a whole. There is a point in time where it distinctively changed from love you, la 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 stuff to are you guys tripping? I could tell the difference. And the story, according to this guy who taught the class, was that one day their dentist, one of their dentists, I can't remember which member of the band, said, "You guys come over to my house for dinner." And they did. They went over there, they had dinner, and again, this is during that time. That the dentist didn't tell anyone, but after dinner they all had some tea or coffee, and he put LSD in their coffee
without them knowing.
No, without them knowing.
Wow.
And so
what was he thinking?
Yeah, so supposedly, right? This is based on what that book said, and they were not very happy about it. They didn't know what was going on, as you can imagine, right? They're like losing their minds, and then they say, "Oh, I thought everybody does this. I thought you guys just know." They had never done it. And so the story goes is they were upset, but John Lennon, he said, we can take advantage of this, and supposedly they did. And they used that. They went to, I think it was either India or Africa. I can't remember which part of that continent, and spent a lot of time there, kind of researching and living and experiencing, and their music dramatically changed, and rightfully so. Different cultures produce different perspectives.
So
that dentist altered the course of
Look,
culture.
he could be the guy who like changed everything.
Yeah,
right?
you gotta give him credit.
Yeah.
He took a risk.
He did take a huge risk.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Psychedelics are just a very.
Yeah, no, the song I know is Strawberry Fields. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
of course,
I think that's after they.
It definitely was.
Because that's a very different
or a Norwegian Wood. You should listen to that one.
Okay, I'll listen to that one too.
That one is a good one. I think there's a sitar used in that one.
Oh, my dad plays that.
Sitar?
Really? Yeah, it's very popular in Iran.
Oh,
Sitar,
nice.
yeah.
What is it?
It's like the wooden with the strings, right?
It's like it's kind of like a guitar, but it's like
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
He has that. It's like a smaller guitar.
Yeah.
He sits on the couch and just.
That I like the sound of that.
That's an interesting. It's an interesting.
The best sitar part of music that I always like is Metallica. You guys like Metallica?
I'm not.
I haven't.
We need to get out of our.
Metallica.
Really?
I think we stick too much.
Yeah.
Especially me.
When I want to get pumped up, Metallica.
Yeah, it's workout. It's good, like workout music type stuff.
Wherever I May Roam is a great Metallica song. It's from in my opinion, their best album, the Black Album. And it starts with the sitar at the beginning. The sitar solo is kind of disturbing. It's kind of like dark.
They're known for that type of like genre, right? A little bit dark.
They're dark, all right. They're metal. I mean, by nature. But if you want to rock out and like get in the zone and get pumped up, that's the kind of music I listen to.
I have like not much experience with that. Do you know Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Oh yeah,
I'm a big fan of that.
I love Red Hot.
I dabble in a little bit softer,
different type of music.
Yeah,
definitely different. Yeah, oh, absolutely different.
Their older music, I really liked. Their first couple albums. Great.
No, those are
they're older now.
Yeah,
Blood, Sex, Magic. I can't remember the whole.
I know their By the Way album is really good. Yeah, Californication.
Yeah, that came after the Blood.
That came after that.
Tears or whatever album.
Tear. They have a song called Tear. I think that's really good.
Tear. On which album?
Under the Bridge.
Under the Bridge is on that album that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think it's in that same album.
Yeah, that's a great album.
I don't know the name of it, but yeah, that's a really good album. Yeah.
Me and my friends always debate about that era of music because when we were growing up, like we were about middle school. It was about maybe 93 to 96. Yeah. And during that time, kind of gangster rap was coming around.
Oh, yeah.
NWA had just kind of... So that was the transition between NWA and like Dr. Dre and Snoop and Warren G. All these great albums that could go on and on. Yeah, so that was that time era. But then at the same time, there was the punk alternative rock era, which was great music as well. I love both of them, and so we always think about these bands like Soundgarden and Nirvana and Pearl Jam. You go on and on, right? That whole genre. Now, at the same time,
like grunge era too, kind of. Versus grunge is like early 2000s.
I mean, I guess you could call that grunge. I think. I mean, I'm not a music expert, but I would think like Nirvana.
Nirvana is grungy.
Yeah, and that was.
What's that other?
That was at that time.
Yeah.
Even groups like Third Eye Blind.
Oh yeah.
You know, they all kind of fall into this candle box. It'd be going on and on. So the debate I always have with my friends: who was the best?
Yeah.
Right? Who's the best rock band of that era? And I always try to throw in the Chili Peppers because they came out
they were great.
with that Under the Bridge song around the same time. And they shoot me down.
All your
for
friends
it.
are
They shoot me
down
because they don't think that that's the same genre of music.
Yeah,
but I mean, where do you put those guys?
Chili Peppers are very unique.
Them,
those bass riffs and the
yeah. I mean,
from Flea or whatever.
Oh yeah, Flea. He's the drummer, right? Or
he's the bass.
He's the bass.
I don't know the drummer. I just know the drummer looks like Will Ferrell, and he goes in too. But yeah.
But what's that lead singer's name?
Anthony Kiedis.
Yeah. Remember that when he was in the Point Break movie? You remember?
No.
The original Point Break with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. He's actually in that movie.
Like a big role, or is like cameo?
I don't know if it's a big role, but it was like kind of one of those times I remember when I was a kid because that movie came out kind of in that same area. I love that movie. It was a great movie.
I haven't seen it.
The Point Break.
I have not seen it.
Yeah, it's about a cop, or maybe he's FBI agent, I can't remember, that goes undercover to bust a kind of they're surfers, but they rob banks and stuff like legitimately.
That's the break, yeah.
And so he gets in on with it to undercover, and they don't know it, but he ends up learning the culture of surfing and everything, and he kind of gets into it, and he has to decide kind of.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, anyway, he's in that movie. I remember that.
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
Yeah, Metallica was actually here a couple years ago, I think.
Oh, Metallica is from the Bay Area.
In Foothill?
Really?
Yeah.
No, not at Foothill. They were at Outside Lands in
Golden
Park, I think 2015 or 2016.
They, if I recall correctly, originated first in South Cali, but then they came to San Jose. And they're definitely there. They're at Giants games every year performing.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have never got to see them live, but I got music that I've seen live. But, they definitely represent the Bay. I mean,
that's
dope.
Yeah, I remember. Are you I'm not like a big fan, but are you a fan of the Grateful Dead at all?
To some extent.
Is that similar genre? Or?
As Metallica?
Yeah, or very different.
No.
Is that death metal? Is that what that is?
That's
Grateful Dead?
Yeah, what is that?
Grateful Dead is like dead. They call deadheads for a reason. Because they're they're known for people
just kind of
popping acid.
Oh, really?
That's why you're dead. You're deadhead.
Yeah.
That's more like mellow. I mean, their music is good.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
Oh, okay.
Metallica's more like it's almost like death music.
It's intense. Yeah.
But they do it in a way that's not like just chaotic and
structured.
Yeah. It's and it's very. Sometimes they have symphony in
really?
their songs, which
cool.
adds to the flavor of the darkness. They're very artistic, in my opinion. I love.
I wish those genres were bigger. I feel like nowadays.
Yeah,
I
feel like we're converging to
it's just
very dry stuff. They use the same
thing.
chord progressions and everything. It's that like 1-5-4.
I haven't heard very many rock or metal or anything in my life.
There's some unique artists out there, but it's hard to find.
It's hard, You got to really search for it.
There's like a upsurge of like indie and like small alternative bands. They go to Outside Lands a lot. I'm like pretty into some of those things. Yeah, Outside Lands has some really good underground. That kind of like got me into it.
I've heard it's good.
4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
A
lot of local bands. I've been twice. My cousin took me like a long time ago. We were like in middle school, so we couldn't enjoy like the whole concert experience, but like it was a lot of fun, and I got into some of those.
You get to see artists that never knew about or whatever.
Yeah.
But the indie is a whole little genre of its own, in my opinion.
It's a beat. Yeah, you can't even classify.
What is indie?
Indie is just independent. It started as like independent, but now it's like a huge brand. Alternative too, like. There's like the two ends of the spectrum of alternative are like so different. I feel like it's like kind of rock and like softer
folky,
rock,
maybe?
folky. There's some folk.
Yeah,
folk is
you
good.
listen to do you know Hartwell, who teaches the music class at Foothill? I'm taking his music class right now, and he's super into this, like the whole scene and stuff.
The indie scene.
Yeah, he was showing us some folk songs and whatnot, and
nice.
And they're pretty interesting. Yeah.
Music classes are fun to take. You learn about the different.
I never knew it was so. And he plays the piano, so he'll like give us little snippets.
Is there piano
songs.
like in the class?
Yeah, exactly. The first time he did it, he just randomly went and started playing, and I was like, "Where is it coming from?" And
really?
I see him playing. I thought he was like playing a radio.
He
turned off the lights and just started playing.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Set the mood. That's awesome. Honestly, live music. Live music is so good. Like, I went to this Celtic festival in France.
Whoa.
And there was like folk Celtic with I used to play the bagpipes. So there's like
bagpipe.
Yeah, it's a long story, but I played the bagpipes, and I went to this was like kind of the culmination of like my bagpipe.
You played
playing.
there.
I played there with my band. We were like invited to
go.
Is
a bagpipe band?
Yeah, it's like a bagpipe band. So you like stand in. Have you ever seen a bagpipe band? It's kind of obscure. Like not a lot of people.
I know what they are.
But yeah, it's like a circle, right?
Yeah.
You play. There's different forms of it, but
so
the Highland
Irish.
bagpipe. So I'm Scottish, but
Scottish.
Yeah, my first name is Irish. Sean is an Irish name, but Macpherson is a Scottish.
Oh, Sean's
because I can never
Irish
understand the difference. Mac versus Mick. Is that the distinction?
Yeah, Mick.
No, those are both
McGregor,
Scottish.
Right?
I don't actually know
What about Conor
Macpherson and Mickpherson. I think they're different clans. McGregor. No, but it's also like Irish too.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's both Irish and Scottish.
McGregor.
Yeah, Conor McGregor. Yeah, but yeah, no, that was like a Celtic festival where they invited a bunch of different Celtic scenes.
Seems so
they had like. It was really cool. It was a great experience. But yeah, there's this one band where they had a guitarist, they had a fiddler,
Oh, wow.
And they had like a bagpiper, and it was honestly one of the most like lit live music events that I've ever been to. No, it was in. Well, yeah, it was, but it was like a bunch of tents, and they had like a tent for each different Celtic region. So they had like Andalusia, Galicia, 2 Celtic regions in Spain.
Wow.
And I remember the Andalusia tent. They had this like cider pouring technique where they pour it above their head to aerate it, to give it a little bit of like carbonation, I guess. And they like don't look at it, and they just look at the cup and they like try to aim it, and then they like give it to you, so you just like hold your cup out.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I wasn't of age, but like the band members who were, they would do that. But yeah, it was like the tent where there was this like fiddler, bagpiper, and guitarist. Like everyone was stomping their feet like in tune with it, and it was like a wooden floor, and the oh my gosh, the vibe was just amazing.
That seems
But see, I mean, you ain't gonna see that around here. So not like you just walking down the downtown area and there's the bagpipe band playing again, right? Hey, you get it together, you might make a little something. I would imagine that's a pretty interesting instrument. I don't really understand how that one even works.
So
how do you do that?
So the whole idea around it is, so you have the bag, right, and then there's 3 drones. So it's a reed instrument. So you have the bag. There's 3 drones, each with a reed. And those are like different your baseline, different sizes of reeds. Yeah, so you have like a treble, a tenor, and a bass, and those are just like the constant hum. If you've like ever heard a bagpipe, it's like
you're right.
So you have to tune those, so it's like a constant like in tune baseline, and then there's like the chanter, and that's the part with the reed, and then you have 9 notes, and that's like the very shrill pitched thing, and you're actually playing, and it's a continuous sound. So there's no like stopping. Like in piano, right? You can stop, you can have staccato, but this is all like fluid. So you're always doing like different runs, like up, down, and there's like.
It seems interesting.
It's an interesting instrument. It's hard though. It took a lot of cardio. I remember I had to like get in shape, like when I would go to competitions.
Is it heavy? Were they carrying it around?
It was a little bit heavy, and like just breathing and maintaining. You have to maintain constant pressure, or it just sounds terrible. Exactly. Yeah. So you're taking breaths. The whole point of the bag is so that you can maintain that constant sound, that constant like flow of air through the reeds.
It reminds me of I think maybe it's an Australian wind device that's like that. I can't remember the name. But you kind of constantly blowing. You have to learn how to play the instrument both sucking in the air and blowing up the air simultaneously. Okay. It's like a continuous flow.
That's crazy.
It's kind of reminds me of that. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Jaro maybe or something. Is that the?
I think that rings a bell. Yeah, I don't know exactly, but. Yeah, like I mean, even just like the harmonica, like a pretty simple instrument, like you can play that both breathing in and breathing out. I think it plays like minor, major, something, but it was similar to that.
That's impressive. You should.
I need to pick it back up. I haven't played in like 5 years.
Yeah, like how they play in the piano.
I gotta get back. It'll be so loud.
That would be cool.
Really?
Hey, that piano is loud.
It's very loud. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I have a pair of like kitchen pipes. They're called kitchen pipes. They're like smaller. They're less loud.
Mini bagpipes.
Little mini bagpipes. Yeah, those are fun to play. But yeah, I need to get back into it. I think we're running a little bit short on time. It's like 4. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, it was so interesting.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Your passion is infectious.